Abraxas! Thank you so much for the raid! Hi, raiders. Hi. I just went live. Give me a bit. Hi, though. Hi. How was your stream? What were you up to? Hello. For anyone who's new here, hi. My name is Bite. I'm a variety streamer, but I primarily do Minecraft content, and today I am teaching you guys about art fucking history. So, strap in. You're gonna learn art history in just a second, but I'm not done setting up, so hang out for a bit. But if you're not already following, consider following. It's free, and you could always unfollow later if you want to, but why would you want to? I am so cool. But, I love you. Thank you for the raid. You guys are gonna learn things today. But give me just a second. Give me just a second. All right. Okay. I was sipping my drink. But I'm here. Hello. Oh, hi. Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you for the posture check. My posture is great, I'll have you know. But hello, everybody. Happy Monday. It's me. How are you all doing today? Thank you for the stretch, too. I'm big stretchy. Yes, look at my hat. Moss did make this, but also I dressed up for you guys. I got like a cute little fit on. Look at this. Ta-da! I'm also wearing my glasses just because I can't fucking see. I can't see. So I am actually wearing my glasses for today. But yeah, Mossy made this hat. Look I have my bite bitten branded hoodie. No, beanie. It's been a long day. I've had a very rough day today. Jesus Christ. Something in the air. Kids were just like, today the students were like, what if we were insane? What if we were insane and crazy? And also, what if we were ableist? It's crazy. It's a bad day. But it's better now that I'm with you guys. I am going to say hi to everybody. Say hi if you haven't already said hi. I'm scrolling back. Okay. Hello, Hawk, who is here 40 minutes early, and Mossy, who is here 1 minute after Hawk. Hello, Wide Eyes and Jamp. Hello, Skylar, Wenzel. Oh, say more. I will say more. I'm gonna say so much more in just a second. Let's see. We said hi to Wenzel. Hello, Cornelius. Hello, Jamp. Hello, Abraxas and Olive and Tia. Hi, Mage Raven. And hello, Skull. Hi, Star Dancers. Hello, Puppy Bunk. Hello, Toby. Oh, you were working on your new PNG for Everlast? I actually have a design for mine, Abraxas. I'm gonna send you it really quick. I just sent Abraxas my PNG. Hello. Who am I missing? I said hi to Skull. Cornelius got a hi. Raven got a hi. Toby got a hi. Hello, Moon. Hello. Hi, Slumberensis? I'm assuming like system, but hello. Hi, Wise Girl. I'm sitting in the front row waiting, so polite for my art history lesson, Professor Bitten. Yeah! I'm sorry to take notes on my fancy soft paper from France. What the hell? Show me. I sent you it. Polite and ready for lesson. I have several. Hello. Hi, Moody. I love you. Floor time. Taking notes on the paper I made myself in the notebook of myself. That's so cool. Ziggy made a bunch of notebooks and like gave me a bunch of them to take home with me. I haven't used them for anything, but I should. Is DSM-5 supposed to be gone? Yes! I actually removed a lot of the redeems because I get distracted. So I turned off a lot of them so I wouldn't get distracted. Slumber works. All right. Well, hello. I'm standing in the back row, not sitting down, just staring at you. Okay, that's fair. But I get distracted, so all of the redeems, except like the stretchy ones, are off. I wrote stuff for this, okay? Do you guys... Where are my notes? I wrote notes. I like compiled notes on like the stuff I'm talking about. I made you guys a PowerPoint presentation. I also have 3 different fucking books to use for reference, okay? I have The Italian Renaissance, Culture and Society in Italy by Peter Burke. It's in black and white because he fucking hates us. I think it should be a crime, by the way, to have an art history book with art in it, and then it's in black and white. That should be illegal, first of all. I also have, very briefly, just because I like, this has nothing really to do with the Renaissance, but I have Towards a Global Age, Towards a Global Middle Ages, Encountering the World Through Illuminated Manuscripts. It's just because they're cool. And I also wanted to talk about this later. I have a really cool paper that I did about illuminated manuscripts. I'll mention it later. And then I also have Northern Renaissance Art, Painting, Sculpture, the Graphic Arts from 1350 to 1575 by James Snyder. Whoa! I forget who did this one. I don't know. I believe it or not, I actually did really, really poorly in some of the tests that I took just because of the fact that I have a hard time memorizing things about is it a Van Eyck? I was vaguely thinking that. It does look like Van Eyck. Yeah, I don't know. I had a problem in my art history classes where I would look and I just forget the names of the people and also the dates, but that is why I have notes and stuff like that. Wait, double raid. I'm fucking pogging. Onyx, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, raiders. We're gonna learn about art history. Are you guys ready? Yay! I'm so fucking excited to hear another perspective from another side of art history. I'm an art history literature student and know nothing about the Renaissance. If you want me to send you the company that made Notebook, let me know, not for us. But thank you so much for the raid, Onyx. Welcome in, raiders. For anyone who's new here, hi, my name is Byte. I'm a variety streamer, but I primarily do Minecraft content. And today I'm teaching you guys about art history, okay? And it's gonna be fun. So strap in. We're gonna get started in just a second. I'm also gonna turn off the music because it distracts me. Sorry. So, for anyone that does not know, I am an art history major. I wrote a thesis. It was part of my undergrad degree. I don't know why they had me write a fucking thesis, but they did, and I was scary, and I fucking killed it. I did awesome. I did an incredible job. I don't know if it's published or not, so I don't want to read it out loud to you guys just because of the fact, or go too in depth about what it's written about. Just because I don't want to fucking dox myself. When do the baby Jesuses stop looking like tiny men? Byzantine and also early Renaissance babies are the weird babies that you're thinking of, actually. And then after that, they kind of get a little bit better, but not much. I wrote a thesis. It is primarily focusing on, without going too much in detail, my thesis was about a certain art motif and why it was prevalent in Italy during the Renaissance, but not the rest of Northern Europe. I've written a lot of papers about Northern European Renaissance and also Italian Renaissance. So I went back and I looked at my old notes and kind of compiled stuff together. And that's where I'm coming from. But I am somebody who really, really enjoys art history. The European Renaissance in particular is something that's really, really fascinating to me. And also there is so much to it that it's really fucking cool, okay? But also, here you go. Okay, I made you guys a PowerPoint. I don't think it'll work if I do this. No, I can't see my screen. So it looks like this. We're just gonna deal with it like this, okay? We're gonna deal with it. Okay, fuck yeah, PowerPoints. Yeah, I made you guys a fucking PowerPoint, alright? So, let us converse, gamers. We're learning about art history today, and also, more importantly, we're learning about why the fuck you should care about art history, and we're learning about the Renaissance! Yay! Everyone fucking clap right now. I really like the Renaissance. I fucking love PowerPoints. Light tavern music plays in the background. I don't think I have, like, ambiance music. I don't have ambiance music. You guys are gonna have to just live. Okay? I also don't have arrow keys, so we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. All right. My head is in the way, but right there it says art history sucks, question mark. It doesn't. Art history is actually really, really interesting, and it's not what you immediately think it is. Art history, yeah, obviously is the study of the history of art, but it's also sometimes about the materials. It is also sometimes about why and when did certain art movements occur. It's about the people that made the art. It's about what does that art mean to society then? What did it mean to the artist? It also talks about, we learn about stuff about the psychology in it. There's so much. There's so much, okay? There's so many different aspects of it. It also brings up to the table a lot of conversations you have in the art history space is you talk about the roles and the responsibilities of museums as education spaces, but also as spaces where you have to the conversation of decolonizing happens a lot, obviously. But it is also in terms of art history. We also talk about individual great artists, but we also talk about artists that aren't well known. You know, not we don't have like we have all the big name guys, but also stuff about people who are not as well known. We also the conversation in art history that also gets to be kind of talked about is who decides what is and isn't fine art and where is the line for that. And most importantly to me, this is my favorite part about learning about art history, is it's about culture. And it's so cool. Remember to breathe. I'll do my best. um I am a social art historian. I think I talk about it in another slide. But what that essentially means is that I look at the context of the pieces for when they were made and who they were made for and what purpose it is that they were made to serve. So is it like a commentary? What did it mean to the people who consumed this? But also what did it mean to the artist who made this? Um, but, 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 but. Why should you care? Here's a couple reasons. Because anytime anyone ever learns about history, especially younger people, you'll get a lot of like, why does it matter? These people are dead and who gives a shit? Well, most importantly, and you've heard this quote before probably, those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it. As a person, you are forever learning and changing and growing. That doesn't mean that you are above learning and changing and growing from other people's mistakes too. um, you're learning about history and learning how other people saw the world and also interacted with the world can be really helpful for how you can interact and go about and interact with the world later on in your own life. Um, art is also a really cool kind of like almost like a segue point for people who want to get into history but aren't sure how, because art is as universal to humans as storytelling is. As humans, we are inherently storytelling creatures, and those who cannot speak or write do art. Hi, Sen. I'll forgive you this time. Sit down, fool. Um, and this has been true for thousands and thousands of years. The earliest art that we have is like the caveman paintings. This is very well known, but also some people consider there's very old like carved rocks, even if it's like rocks that are in the shape of like stone axe heads. That is still considered art. It's like prehistoric art. Um, Even back then, when we didn't have verbal and written language, people were still creating and making art. Um, and most importantly, the people who were alive back then were just as important as the people who are alive right now. I think it's really easy to get into this mindset of like, oh, people back then didn't feel the same things that we feel today. When that's not true. They did feel the same things. They had hobbies, they had jobs, they had careers, they loved, they lived, and their stories and their art deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be seen, and they deserve to be learned about. And it's our job as people to continue to do this, um, and to share their stories. I also want to talk about, it's really important to talk about in art history, bias. If you don't know what bias is, it's essentially the experiences and beliefs that you have that influence the way that you think about the world or about a subject. It skews your perspective because of the fact that everything has a storyteller, everything has a narrative, everything in the world is biased, especially history. You also hear the phrase a lot that history is told by the winners. And what that really means is like the people who succeeded, who lived, who colonized or killed everyone else out, the people who are still alive, they're the people that wrote history. And this is true, don't get me wrong, but that's not all there is to it. And it's very almost lazy to think about it like that because of the fact that these perspectives and these histories are out there and they can be learned about. and you can just go and find them and read about them and learn about them. It's just people choose not to. Um, what you will be taught in a lot of schools, but also just generally in your life, is what we call visible histories. A visible history just refers to histories that are told by people who are in charge. They are conventionally related to power, and these are stories and histories of told by primarily wealthy Anglo men. It's told by like wealthy white men. Um, these are the visible histories. That's what's called. But these are not the only histories that exist. There is still hope. There is still light. There is still the opportunity to grow and to learn and to change. And our jobs as people and our jobs as artists is to find that truth and to hear these stories out and to love and to respect each and every single perspective. Um, Even though these visible histories come from a very male, very white perspective, this doesn't always have to be the case. The truth is there. You can find it. There are other perspectives, other cultures, other stories that have been told and are also needing to be told. And they are told. And our jobs are not to judge or to condemn, or only get one side of the story, but rather our jobs as artists, as academics, as humans are to uplift these unheard stories and to care about and love for one another. Even back then, even now, even in the future. Period. Um the reason why I have this sculpture up here, if any of you don't know what this is a depiction of the dying Gaul. Originally they had thought that this was a statue of a gladiator. This is a copy of originally a Greek bronze statue. You will see most marble statues that exist now that are like Greco-Roman are actually copies of the originals, because it's very common for the bronze originals to get melted down and made into other stuff. So it's very hard to find bronze originals of these pieces just because of the fact they got fucking melted down. So you'll see a lot of like these marble statues are replicas. Also, a lot of them were painted. That's a fun one. But anyway, this one of the Dying Gaul was likely commissioned by, I think it's Attalus First of Pergamon, and the purpose of the statue was to celebrate his victory over the Gauls, who are, I think, like now Celts, Celts, one of them. This statue was made by the winner of their opponent. And this statue is very well known because of you can't see it super well, but it has like an incredible amount of like facial expression and detail and emotion and like pathos. But this is a memorial to commemorate that even though the Gauls had lost this battle, they were still a worthy adversary and that they fought well. It is a respectful way to honor the people who lost. And this is actually this statue has actually been replicated and commissioned by a lot of people over the years. They'll get like replicas of it or ask for replicas of it to be made by different men in power. I think Thomas Jefferson commissioned a copy actually of the Dying Gaul. But it's really it's there is just like some inherent beauty to the fact that they did not have to make a sculpture of their enemy, and it's very uncommon that you see sculptures of the enemy that are treated like well and with humility and with respect. And that's what's really important about the Dying Gaul, is that even though this was their enemy, they depicted them in such a respectful, honorable way. And that was the whole point. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that there is so many different branches of history and talking about the world and about other people and other cultures and the winners and the losers, and there's so many facets to it, and there's a respectful way to do it, and then there's not a respectful way to do it. But overall, the biggest thing that you can do to become the inherent bias that we all have is to acknowledge that you have this bias and also try to shift perspectives and to hear other people and other people's bias and where they're coming from and understanding and listening to them. Overall, period. Okay, so what the fuck are we talking about? What the hell am I yammering on about? So, we are talking about art history, obviously, but specifically, I am going to be talking to you guys about social art history. Yay! To recap, social art history means that I, or we, together, we today, are going to study the cultural context of a work. I got another raid! Hi! Hello, welcome in, Raiders. We're learning about art history. Welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you so much for the raid. We're art historying, but I hope your stream went well. And if you gotta take care of yourself, be sure to do so. But we're just strapping in. We're talking about art history. You got into a good spot. We just started. Yes, art history lesson. I have notes. But we're talking about social art history, which is the cultural context of a work. What did it mean to the people who made it and also the people who saw it in the period? Because looking at a piece of art, the way we perceive it now is way fucking different from the way that people saw it back then. Are you shitting me? It means something entirely different. If we had a political cartoon now and we shot it back into the past, people would be like, what the fuck is this? You know, it's the same thing. But what does it mean to the people who made it and the people who saw it in this period? What role did it play? Whether that's psychological, social, monetary, or literally anything else. If you're curious about more different methodologies if you're curious about other methodologies of art history, there is the book Methods and Theories of Art History by Anne D. Aleva and Michael Cawthron. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I chose visual until reading. I believe in you. I'm so sorry about that though. That is painful. I hope that you can get some good rest of your eyes. You needed. But yeah, that book, I think they also recommended it to me when I was in school, but it has different methodologies of art history and consuming art, if you're interested. We are also going to be talking about the Renaissance, and the word Renaissance, both in French and Italian, means rebirth. Not that the word for Renaissance in French and Italian means rebirth. This period is known as a revival, or what is the author? And I don't know how to pronounce it. Here, I'll type it. Anne D. Aleva, and also co-written by Michael Cawthron. There you go. It's rebirth in both French and Italian. This period is simply put a rebirth of the great art of antiquity, referring to the Greco-Roman period, so the Greeks and the Romans, or the Byzantines, which you don't actually hear a lot about, but we're going to talk about them a little bit. So if you're like, what the fuck is that bite? I'm going to tell you, bitch. But in Italy, this was a return to Greco-Roman art, and in the rest of Northern Europe, it was more focused on Byzantine art. Not totally, but they did it was kind of more of a return to Byzantine art than it was in Italy. So I know so much about Byzantine shit. Shout out to church. Yeah, there's the reason for that. Okay, so the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire, you've probably heard of it at least once. This is in reference to the Eastern Roman Empire, so way back in the fucking day, which at its peak contained Romania, Greece, Turkey, Sicily, Malta, Crete, Cyprus, Rhodes, Sicily. Oh, I have Sicily twice. Moldova, Italy, Syria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Jordan, Austria, Hungary, Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. And it also fell apart after the sacking of Constantinople. You guys know that song. The Byzantine Empire was essentially just the Eastern Roman Empire that was continued on. At its peak, it took up a lot of the fucking countries, states, continents. Can't go back to Constantinople. Nope. But this is really important because of the fact that this was so widespread and this became like this was around for a really fucking long time. But there was a lot of art that happened in this kind of Byzantine art style that goes on to influence a lot of other cultures and how they kind of branched off after this in the Renaissance. But Jesus Christ, it was really big and it lasted for quite a while. I think I have. How long did it last? It lasted a good. Okay, it was around from the 2nd to the 15th century, so it was around for a long time. And God, did they do so much? But it did obviously fall apart. So this is when I'm talking about Byzantine, I'm talking about just kind of this conglomerate that was put on by the Eastern Roman Empire. And then also we're talking about Europe specifically, but we're also talking about, I Googled it and Sicily's on there twice. Also, it's not you, it's Google. Okay, that's fair. We're talking about European art, European Renaissance art, but also there's 2 divisions to European Renaissance art, which you guys have probably heard me say. There is Northern Renaissance art and also Italian Renaissance art. Why do we make this divide, you may ask, especially because Italy is all the way down here at the bottom and there's the rest of Europe. The reason is actually really, really easy and simple, and that's the fact that the Alps exist. The Alps exist, which is this mountain range that essentially cuts off Italy from the rest of the continent. That's why there's a Northern Renaissance and then also the Italian Renaissance. So these were happening at the same time, but there's a big ass mountain range in between them. There's also, you can like very specifically be like, I'm gonna learn about the French Renaissance and stuff like that. But I am schooled in and passionate about Northern Renaissance and also Italian Renaissance. And I know a lot of stuff about specifically the Italian Renaissance just because I wrote my paper about it. Jesus Christ, though, this sucked. And also the reason why there was 2 very distinct like groups forming, like the Northern and then also Italian Renaissance, and why they formed so differently and then eventually came back together is because traveling across these mountains was so goddamn hard. I literally have a quote from my paper here, and it's, travel to Italy from Northern Europe was not an easy task for Renaissance people. By land, the Alps posed an incredibly difficult terrain to travel. Pathways were cut into the side of rock, causing the trails to be narrow and difficult to traverse. During the colder months, the paths could become covered with slippery ice or deep snow, and travelers were at risk of being caught in avalanches. A group of pilgrims in 1219 reported being unable to carry on with their expedition due to an avalanche until the weather cleared up. If not on foot, people traveled by oxen or on horseback, as wheeled traffic in the Alpine passes did not appear until the late 18th century. Additional difficulties included the potential crossings of lakes and the dense woodlands surrounding the Alps. So even if you were like, I'm going to try to go all the way around it, it was still really, really hard. That being said, if people can't walk to a place or get a horse to a place, class, what is it that they do instead? How else do you think we could get to Italy if not by walking? I have to wait because of stream delay. Boat! Yeah, Skull! Boat! These motherfuckers got boats. They got boats. By the 14th century, a lot of Europe was charted with trade routes, which mainly focused on Italy being connecting, because Italy connected to the Black Sea with the Iberian Peninsula, and it became a major hub for Eastern goods to travel through. So you can kind of think of Italy as being a hub for a lot of goods from all kinds of places. But before the 15th century, Italians also used these sea routes to carry to Europe, instead of like just trade. Like they used them before they had all the trade, particularly to get to Bruges, London, and Southampton. I don't know why those are very specifically listed, but I also have the sources if anyone ever wants them. Not only did people find a way to get around, but there was also the invention of the printing press. Yay! The printing press was invented in the mid-15th century, and with the rise, this is another one from my paper. With the rise of the printing press in the mid-15th century, it would spread throughout Europe rapidly over the span of 50 years, particularly in northern Italy and in Germany. Jeffrey T. Mills reported that before 1480, the majority of growth of printing centers was primarily in northern Italy and Germany, which accounted for fully 70 of the 104, or 67% of all the printing centers in Europe, particularly in Venice, Genoa, and Florence within Italy. From 1471 to 1480, northern Italy contained the most printing centers in all of Europe, having 33 of the 89 total, followed by Germany at 28. The number of printing centers by the beginning of the 16th century in northern Italy would reach 49 printing centers, second to Germany's 66, which means that Italy at one point had 22% of all the printing centers in all of Europe. Italy went hard. This also happened because Genoa, Florence, and Venice were big trade centers, and printing centers. So everything would get there, and you could see why. Guess what? They're on the ocean. So everything went there and then got kind of spread out everywhere else because of this. But that being said, people found a way. They got there anyway. And now I keep throwing all these dates at you guys. Let's have them all in one spot, okay? So when we talk about Byzantine, the Byzantine art period was from the 2nd century until the 15th century. And if you don't know, whenever you hear people say like 2nd century or 15th century, that's referring to 100 years before. So if you're saying 2nd century, you're talking about the 100s. 21st century is the 2000s, so on and so forth. So this is the hundreds to the 1400s. Then you also had Gothic style art. Then there was the classic period, which is stuff like the rise of the Greek and the Roman empires. You guys know them. I'm sure you know them. I would hope you know them. Then there's the medieval or the Dark Ages. This is a period when there were illuminated manuscripts and monasteries and scribes were producing art and illustrated books of hours and frescoes. I have a lot. I have so much. You guys have probably seen illuminated manuscripts and not realized that's what they were. I think I have a... Let me see. Okay. We're gonna... So, these... It's kind of shit quality, I'm sorry. These are illuminated manuscripts. Illuminated manuscripts just refer to pretty drawings. That's not true. It's the very, very ornate, decorated manuscriptures that you see. So they do have, like, some of them do have, like, photos in them. Other times you'll see just very, very, like, ornately decorated maps. You'll see, like, different maps or almanacs. There are a really, really popular thing during this period were called Books of Hours. And these Books of Hours, they also had them in Eastern art, too. Here's one from China. Book of Hours are essentially... Oh, wait, I saw one that was really cool. Come back! Books of Hours were essentially prayer books. This is more Eastern art. Books of Hours, medieval times. Very cool. These are specifically... Oh, sorry, this one is from Japan. And then this one's also from Japan. They're both from Japan. They're Buddhist. Those are really cool. So that's when all of this stuff kind of happened, is during the medieval period. They had illuminated manuscripture, they had books of hours. All of these really pretty stuff were done in monasteries by scribes, and it was kind of an easy consumable way of throwing the church out there. And if this goes well and you guys like it, in the future I have a really good paper about Christianity and Christians using medieval manuscripture as a fear-mongering tactic to make people convert to Christianity because of racism. And it's really interesting, and I got a lot of props from it from my professor, and I'd be really happy to talk about it one of these days. It's really cool. It'd be pretty epic. I literally wrote that right here. Would be pretty epic. And then we also have Gothic art, which is, you can think of it as like it's an art style. You can think of Gothic cathedrals with like big spires and flying buttresses. This started out of France in the 12th century. This may be a good stream theme. Okay. There's also only one Gothic church in Italy, and this is in Milan. It's the Milan Cathedral from 1386. Most of them are in Northern Europe. Germany, my best friend. There's a lot of them in Germany. Oh my god, they're so... maybe not a lot of them. I think that there's at least one remaining one. And I want to say... No, I don't know. But there's a lot of Gothic cathedrals still in Northern Europe, but they are very quickly falling to ruin, which is super sad. If you can go to if you could go to Europe for a Gothic cathedral, please do so. Jesus Christ, they're collapsing. Hi, Leaf. And we are going to be talking about the Renaissance, which is the 13th century. People debate when the Renaissance started or not. I'm going to say it's the 13th century. Fuck you. It's the 13th century until the 17th century. Okay, those are all the dates. Do we feel okay? Was that too big and scary? Are we all right? Will we live? Hopefully. I hope you guys will live. You don't have a choice. There's somebody in Germany can confirm. It's art is as a career, by the way. I'm cutting it off. So something that only started happening in the Renaissance is that people were thinking of art as a career option. This was no longer a fun hobby or something that was just a craft. This is not like a craftsman thing anymore. It is respectable to be an artist, and this is a respected trade and profession. This is a profession. This is in the Middle Ages and in the Renaissance is when there was the introduction of art dealers and this international art trade. In the medieval times, people would just bring these would bring their art and their trades with them, and then just like that's what they do is they just carry them around with them and be like, hey, do you want to buy this? No? All right, I'm gonna leave. And then in the 16th century was the rise of the artist agent. Artists started working with agents and collectors, also started working more with curators. Jacopo di Strada was a curator who put many precious works and objects into the collections of lead collectors of Europe. And then once one of the kings of Europe started getting into it, then it was over from there. But this guy is super, super important to art history. His name is Albrecht Dürer. He is the first artist to create a brand and the first person to make art something that is brandable. He is the first person to have a logo that is put on all of his art, and like that's how you know that it's his art. Albrecht Dürer is also really funny generally because he bitches and whines so much about so many different things, and I talk about them a couple times in here. But he's a great guy. He's very he's the father of essentially modern art branding. This guy, he did that. Albrecht Dürer, he's also just talented. To be fair, it's you look at his stuff and you're like, he has this one drawing from him at like 26. It's like it's called Self-Portrait at 26. And it's all just well done. Like you can tell, yeah, you have branded and you are I understand why you've done this and why you like copyright all of your art and stuff. It's deserved. You are talented. He also looks kind of like Jesus. He looks a little bit like Jesus. Albrecht Dürer, my best friend. Renaissance, hardly no one's. Haha. Okay, so if you thought that the Renaissance is just like, nah, nothing cool really happens in the Renaissance, wrong. You know what happened in the Renaissance? Printing press, microscope, telescope, steam engine, natural philosophy, Neoplatonism, Stoicism, Epicureanism. Michelangelo was around. Donatello was around. Hieronymus Bosch was around. Titian was around. Jean Van Eyck, Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, the fucking Ninja Turtles, bitch. This is where they're from. They're from the Renaissance. So much stuff happened in the Renaissance. If you're writing with a pencil right now, pencils were invented during the Renaissance. God, so much stuff happened in the Renaissance. We love Bosch. He's fucked up. God, yeah, he's fucked up. There's something deeply wrong with that man. The Renaissance is really important because it's a revival of old concepts and ideas, but also so much happened in this period in terms of important advancements in sciences, art, philosophy, and even math. God, did so much stuff happen then. And this is why you hear about the greats of like Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael. Like they are the greats and they were all alive during the same period. Oh my God, did Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci beef? Oh my God, Raphael was also like Raphael, Donatello, they were all such dramatic motherfuckers. Michelangelo would write these like bitchy diary entries being like fucking Leo running around in like his pink cape and like who does he think he is, and he was just like minding his own business. It's really good. They actually Michelangelo bitched about a lot of stuff. There's actually drawings of him complaining about his neck hurting working on the Sistine Chapel. I also pretty sure that they were like, "Hi, Scobre." They were like, "Hey, we're gonna. Do you want to do the Sistine Chapel?" I think it was the Sistine Chapel, and he was like, "No, I'm not gonna do it." And they're like, "Okay, we could ask Leo," and he was like, "No, I want to do it." Um, he's. It's very funny. There's also a really funny story about Leonardo da Vinci accidentally blowing up a wall, because of a really stupid reason. He like lights a fire underneath. He got commissioned to do like a fresco on this wall in the city hall, and he didn't do frescoes with he did it not in tempera but with like oil, and the problem with oil is that it takes a really long time to dry and it decays really easily, which is why the Last Supper looks like shit because it's oil, I'm pretty sure. Or if it's tempura, it wasn't like done properly. But anyway, Leo was like, I'm not going to use tempura. I hate tempura. I'm going to do it in oil. This is taking a long time to dry. What should I do to help it dry faster? Makes a fire, blows up the wall. It's a whole thing. We don't know what it is that he drew, but we do know that this happened because I think Michelangelo was like doing another thing and like talked about it or something like that. But yeah, he did accidentally bomb this like city hall. You a real one, Leo. You also get a lot of really, really famous paintings in this period, like the Sistine Chapel, the School of Athens, Mona Lisa. There's a lot of them, but these are just like some of the really, really popular ones are all from this period of time, which is really cool to think about that they were inventing pencils and also Leonardo da Vinci was alive. What? That's crazy, man. uh and if you're an artist, something that happened that was really important during the Renaissance is that perspective was reinvented. The Romans did have a concept of perspective, but Brunelleschi rediscovered it without looking at these Roman paintings. So we do kind of think of him as the person that kind of properly discovered linear perspective. Hi, Demi. Uh, they painted so many dicks. They did paint so many dicks. I have to censor a lot of boobies and titties in this one. I had to put like little scribbles on them to cover them. They also kind of discover atmospheric perspective, which you see a lot of in Leonardo's paintings. It is essentially just the concept as things get further away from the camera and the viewer. It gets like fuzzier. So you'll see like paintings, these landscape paintings that are kind of hazy in the background. That's called atmospheric perspective. What was the name of the guy you said? Brunelleschi. Brunelleschi. He's an Italian guy. So Brunelleschi rediscovers perspective, linear perspective in the 15th century, and then it is later written about by Leon Battista Alberti in 1435. Like he properly writes like these treatises on perspective and how to do it. The first person to put this into practice was Masaccio, who did the one on the right here. Linear perspective, if you don't know, refers to a singular focal point and then like everything kind of going out from that focal point. So the focal point in this painting is actually, I think, near his feet. If you follow the orthogonals, yeah, it's like around his like knees, I think. Maybe not. No, I think it's around his feetsies. It's essentially picking a single point and then all orthogonals kind of pointing to that. So if you follow the lines that the ceilings made, if you follow those like lines, they all kind of point to the same spot. And also the one on the left is Donatello's Feast of Herod. I think it's done in bronze. And it's really, really cool that people were able to do perspective in like these bronze carvings like this. That's crazy to me. Or not carvings, maybe it's, I don't know. It's crazy that they made these. I can't do 3D stuff because I can't visualize. So this is nuts to me. So yeah, perspective was reinvented and during the Renaissance. They didn't really have that before. That's why if you look at the Byzantine art, it looks kind of weird and funky. It's not only because of the fact that they had weird babies, they just didn't know how perspective worked. But it's also the weird babies. The weird babies were very weird. If they got weird babies, dude. There's a lot of weird babies in the Byzantine art and medieval art. They get weird in the Renaissance too, but then they get a little bit better. Here's more of that funny censoring that I had to do. Something that is also something that was re-kicked up during the Renaissance is that people got really into mythology and also religion. And that is because as they were digging back into this art from the Greco-Roman period or pagan art, a lot of their stuff is of gods and goddesses that they didn't believe in. This is during a period of when Christianity is the popularized religion and Catholicism. So these works that got remade based on like antiquity, they were either works that were remade with Christian imagery or they embraced these mythological classical subjects. There's kind of no in between. It's really interesting because there is this parallel here, but the other way around. And this parallel is that in early Christian art, where Christians in, I think, the 1st to the 3rd century were still being persecuted or they were like hiding, essentially, because this is back for like the brief period of persecution that Christians had experienced. A lot of the Christian artwork that from that period had to be hidden in mythological or pagan art. So they would use these drawings of like this person and they'd be like, oh, that's a mythological story. But if you were Christian, you'd be like, oh no, that's Jesus, dude. I know him. But they had to hide it to avoid persecution. So it's kind of interesting, this parallel of Greco-Roman art getting used instead to be Christian art. I think it's interesting that it kind of flipped around like that. So whenever people saw these art pieces back in like the 1st to 3rd century, they would appear to be Roman gods and goddesses, but in actuality, it was like Christian works and stuff about the Bible. It was just hidden in there, pretending to be Greco-Roman stuff, which is cool, actually. Yeah, so some people fully embraced the mythological aspect of it, and then some people were like, nah, we're gonna make it about God, which is fine, I think, either way. So I've been talking a lot about this phrase of return to antiquity, and you might be like, I don't know what that means, Bite. What does that mean? So in the Northern Renaissance, they were coming out of a very Gothic art, deeply Gothic period, and conversely, Italian Renaissance goes back towards this Greco-Roman antiquity. So you can think of it as kind of Northern Renaissance, they focus more on Byzantine antiquity, and then Italian Renaissance are going back to Greco-Roman. Not to say there wasn't some overlap, because there definitely is, but that is kind of the... Also, yeah, look at the weird babies! Look at the weird babies! I told you, Byzantine art's fucking weird! Look at that weird thing! Oh my god! He looks weird. Yeah, he looks weird. So Northern Renaissance, Byzantine antiquity, but also there's this sense of they focus more on something called naturalism, specifically just focusing on emotions and emotions heightened by a greater spiritual attention and strong emotions towards religious experience. I knew there'd be a segment on weird babies. They are weird fucking babies. I also think it's really, really funny. Never mind, I'll talk about this later. But it's a lot of the art coming out of the Northern Renaissance and also the Italian Renaissance becomes didactic. And what that means is that it's art for the sake of a purpose, of like a moral purpose and like an educational purpose, but usually from a religious perspective. So a lot of art of the battle of good and evil and like the allegory of good and bad government, just stuff being like, hey, if you don't do good, bad shit's gonna happen to you so much worse. That is this like didactic art. And something that's also really fun about like Northern versus Italian is that in Northern art, they focus more on emotion rather than specific times or places or on anatomical correctness. Um, and they do tend to focus more on Christianity as like the religious stuff, less so like the drawback to like mythological, like Greeks and Roman gods. Like it is just like mainly Christian. Um the Virgin Mary becomes a huge art motif during this period. There are so many Madonna and Childs or St. Luke painting the Virgin Mary or like the Deposition or it doesn't even matter. Religion. So yeah, they focus more on abstract and concept, while the Italians focus more on kind of perfecting things and perspective. Not to say that the Northern Renaissance artists didn't get perspective, because they did, just like later. I'm rubbing my face. Sorry. Okay. Basically, Northern Renaissance art was less likely to have accurate perspective or accurate anatomy. They cared more about conveying an emotion or a concept of a piece rather than if it was artistically flawless or not. Some pieces indoors have some kind of vague attempt at perspective, but they don't follow the principles of linear perspective. At least they shouldn't. They don't. They look a little bit odd. That's because there is not really this sense of perspective here yet. It hasn't made the travels. Again, remember, we don't have perspective until 1435. And even then, that's not like, it hasn't been like spread yet. So this is still like, perspective is still newer. People also have this weird, smooth, uncanny valley look to them. But it's highly reminiscent of Byzantine art. Something about it feels really weird. I just like the Northern Renaissance, the way they draw people, it feels it has this weird, almost doll-like blank look to people, which is really funny to me considering they were all about caring about like the emotion of a piece. I'm like, you care a lot about the emotion of a piece, but these weird smooth doll people don't. It just doesn't. I'm not seeing it, dog. I just don't like. It's just like it's blank. Do you know when you were like when you started drawing and you made like the same like vacant-eyed like anime girl like every time you do the same like vacant-eyed anime girl? This is like the Northern Renaissance art period is the equivalent of people drawing their like blank expressionless anime girls. Like this is that's what's happening here. They're like, we're getting better at drawing people, but we still haven't figured out how to make them not look a little bit weird. You also start seeing a lot of this red, a lot of very, very deep red. There's actually I don't know if this specific red's called it, but there's Titian red, which is by the artist like Titian. He's very well known for using this specific shade of red. This comes out of like a Renaissance period too. It's interesting. It's not needed here at all, but it's interesting. Do do do. Okay, so now you've kind of seen some stuff about what Northern Renaissance art looks like. Guess what? This isn't Northern Renaissance art anymore, and I'm sure you probably noticed that. This is Italian Renaissance art. This is the same kind of time period. Well, this one's a little bit later, but this is the same time period, but in Italy, despite there literally just being like a mountain range between them, the art styles are so goddamn different. And now that I've like vaguely explained it and pointed out stuff to you guys, I'm sure you can see it. Italian art had a big focus on being anatomically and mathematically correct. The most kind of extreme characteristics of this is Michelangelo and the way he draws people. Like I think Hawk said it earlier, is Michelangelo drew like a lot of like big dudes and like dicks and stuff. Like yeah, That's because, like, if you think of Italian art as the most extreme Italian art, it is like the Michelangelo, like very buff, very anatomically correct, like men. Um, big muscular men. That's what I wrote down. I wrote down in my notes, big muscular men. There's also a lot more usage of perspective and geometric shapes, which are not like super, you don't super see them here, but there is. Landscape art also becomes kind of popularized during the Renaissance. So you will see a lot of Renaissance art be of these landscapes. And if not a landscape, then people were doing stuff in perspective, like linear perspective. It's interesting. Also, you can see it in the background of this one, of the deposition here. The mountains are hazy. That's atmospheric perspective. As things get further away from the camera, they get hazier. Okay. We're almost through the me yelling at you guys section. So lots. Okay. The reason why there's like these three. Oh shit. Oh no, that's right. Never mind. I thought I put the wrong thing. So in Italy, there's a lot of copying from pre-existing works, and this isn't because they are being lazy or they're trying to steal from other artists. It was considered to be the highest praise possible in Italy. So to Renaissance Italians, if an artwork was considered perfect, they'd be like, okay, well, I can't improve upon this anymore. So I am just going to kind of lift this drawing and use it again in another drawing. Also, shout out to the weird muscular baby. So yeah, it's essentially this work is the best, so I'm going to copy it because I could never do anything better. The reason why I have Albert Dürer in here is because he fucking hated it. He threw such a bitch fit about Italian Renaissance artists copying his art. Oh my god. No, that's baby Jesus. Here's another, you have an excerpt from another paper that I wrote. It was not uncommon for Northern European artists to travel to Italy during the Renaissance to study Greco-Roman classical architecture and ruins, and to learn from the newly emergent Italian humanist style. German artist Albert Dürer, for example, traveled to Italy twice in pursuit of the advancement of his own art, once in 1494 and the second time in 1505. His later 15th century and early to mid 16th century artworks reflect Italian inspiration in terms of perspective, motif, and compositions. While these northern artists were coming down to Italy to learn from Italian masters, Italian artists were also learning from them. Dürer was quick to complain about Italian artists copying his work, claiming that they, quote, imitate my work in churches and wherever they can get a hold of it, unquote. His annoyance is certainly not unfounded, however, as the copying of works of art or of specific imagery from art was considered both flattering and a tool for learning. By replicating or even tracing Dürer's works, Italian artists were learning from him and using his artistic knowledge to better their own, much as Northern artists were copying Italian and works of antiquity to improve their own artistic abilities. The reason why I have these two drawings on the right of Heemskerk is Heemskerk was a Netherlandish artist, meaning he's from the Netherlands. But he came down to Italy, I think also twice. I don't know, artists like to go there twice. He went down there twice, and we know that he went down there because of the fact that he wrote about it, but also because he did studies from there. The middle one, the sculpture court from the Casa Sassi in Rome, is his learning, essentially, is he sketched out the stuff in front of him. And then we know that he used that later on because the next painting, St. Luke painting the Virgin, it's the same stuff in the background. It's the same thing. So we know that he used this. Like, this is a known thing. The reasons why we know this is because they tell us they did this in their own art pieces. So all of a sudden in Northern art, you're getting these very Italian motifs in the background, and people are like, I wonder why that's the case. Someone tells me that somebody went to Italy using their grandmother's money. I don't know what that means, but we know that this happened because of the fact of art reflecting this. Like, also people wrote it down. But if we didn't, it's really cool that we can look at this art piece and be like, this is exactly the studies from the Casa Sassi in Rome. That's crazy. That's so cool to me that they are able to be like, I know this place. This is a cool place. Um, so there is, and to kind of clarify that, Heemskerk's Saint Luke painting has classical Roman sculpture in the background, and in fact, the background is based off of a later produced print that he created of the Casa Sassi during his stay in Rome. Below the Virgin and Child is a Greek anatomy book, which was an unusual and never before seen element. This is something exclusive to Heemskerk's St. Luke painting. It spoke to his fascination and dedication of anatomical studies and his interest in Greco-Roman antiquity. Heemskerk's cool. I only know like a chunk about him because I had to write a paper about him very briefly, and the stuff that I learned from that paper was like, whoa, that's so cool. Do I not have? Oh no, I do. Okay. I numbered these wrong. So we also, this is a really cool thing. So on the left here, we have Roger van der Weyden's St. Luke drawing the Virgin. Then in the middle, we have Martin Heemskerk's St. Luke painting the Virgin. And then on the far right, we have Vasari, who is an Italian artist, St. Luke painting the Virgin. This is what I mean by Northern art versus Italian art. There is a very distinct difference here. And yeah, there's some time that passes in between. But Roger van der Weyden's St. Luke drawing the Virgin, it is again those weird flesh people, those weird uncanny valley flesh people, but it's about the emotion of the piece and what it's supposed to mean. They don't care about it being perfect and correct. It's just a story jump. Like this is a motif because it's a biblical story, and so a lot of people drew this biblical story. The Bible's very popular during this period. We've just talked about this. There's also in the background of this one, the background being a landscape was a very northern artist thing too. It's just like they didn't really have perspective back there, so they just kind of cut a hole in their stuff and be like, here's an imaginary landscape. The far right being Giorgio Vasari's St. Luke painting the Virgin. It's very geometric. It's indoors because they like to flex on the fact that they're really good at linear perspective. There's a lot of focus on anatomy. Look at those buff ass babies. Just kidding, they're cherubs. But look at them. They're so buff. That's weird. And then Heemskerk is kind of almost like this in the middle between the two of them, because he incorporated both Northern art and then also he incorporated Italian art. And so his art kind of looks like a good in the middle between these two extremes. So that's like kind of why I have this sliding scale here. And it's very cool because it's like you can definitely tell Northern and then also Italian. And then with Heemskerk's painting, you can also tell that there is a combination of the two of them. And that from this point on, as artists go down there and like art gets exchanged, this just like keeps happening. And it kind of almost, they learn from each other. And I think that's really cool, even though there was these big mountains in the way. And yeah, so we talked about it sucks getting to Italy and getting across the Alps or by sea, but people still did it. There's a huge sea trading route, and then also due to there being these big centers of trade being in the same spots as these publishing houses, the decimation of art did take the form of print books because this starts becoming a thing around here because of the printing press being invented. It all connects, guys. It's crazy. A lot of people copied from these print books. What it would do is that people would either get like a wood or metal sheet, you engrave into it, you soak it with ink, you press it down, and then you got like a book. There's different kinds of engraving and stuff like that too. But they would send out these like print books of these like woodcut print books. So they would just have stamps of these art pieces that are made. And again, Durr loved to bitch about it because he made a lot of print books. And we also know that they're his because they had his little like monogram on there. It's like an AAD. And anytime someone copied it, he would be like, I could tell that they copied it because they put my monogram in there and I didn't do that. I know they copied it. He loved complaining about it. He really did. Albert Dürer, you're such a real one. So not only did art spread because of these print books, but it also as just they brought it down with them physically. Northern artists came down, they brought their art, they spread it to the Italians, and then also took Italian art back with them. They would draw stuff from their studies in Italy and bring it back with them and show other people. Information being spread is so cool. It's so cool. This is how we see perspective and also the treatises on perspective being spread out. This is also like how we have art motifs that are popular from France or from the Netherlands or from wherever coming down to Italy, and why we have in Italy there being in these places also Italian motifs because of the fact that they all just exchange information. People love to learn things and also to share things. And now on a darker note, a culture of death. When you think of the Renaissance, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, what big scary thing happened during the Renaissance? Fucked up long skull. Yeah, fucked up long skull. Death. What big scary thing happened in the Renaissance, guys? It killed a lot of people. Does anyone have a guess? We get them every 200 years-ish. I know there's an ad break. I'm sure somebody will know. Bubonic plague! Bubonic plague! Yeah! Yes, it is the Black Plague. So the Renaissance period becomes a culture of death, which is also the term that I used in my paper. But that's just because how could they not become a culture of death? There's an ad break, then it played. Hee hee. In 1348, the bubonic plague or the Black Death outbroke. It traveled along the silk trade from China on infected fleas on rats, and then from there, it spread. And it spread fast, and it spread hard. It killed over 25 million people in Europe by the 14th century. It was like something like 25 to 50% of Europe's population was killed from the Black Plague, like from the bubonic plague. They didn't stand a chance. And not only that, but plague epidemics occurred almost like every 10 to 20 years on average in specifically Italy. There was a syphilis epidemic in 1494. There was also incredible amounts of starvation, especially associated in times of war. People would be rationing out food, or they would be cutting food with non-edible substances or rotten product. There's a lot of cases of people putting chalk or ash and flour just to spread it out, or just to give people or like sell people like straight up rotten food. Soldiers, there's also meat scarcity around this time, and anytime there's a meat scarcity in history, this is usually associated with times of war. Specifically, soldiers would be coming into people's homes or like into town, being like, "Oh, I am in a war nearby." Soldiers would take up residency in these towns, and people would either be expected to give them food, or the soldiers would just steal from them. So there's a lot of starvation, there's a lot of plague, syphilis. There's also, if you thought COVID was bad, yeah, this happens about every 200 years. Don't get me wrong, COVID is bad, but also the Black Plague was brutal. So many fucking people died. I think it's estimated from anywhere between 25 to 50 million people died of the Black Death. It's insane. But also during this period, there was the Protestant Reformation and then the subsequent Counter-Reformation in the 16th century. That's when Martin Luther posted the thing on the door and was like, "Fuck your church, bitch." And then they got mad about that. There's also the Spanish Inquisition. There is a lot of wars. This is specifically in Italy. These are the wars from only Italy during this time. The Lombardy Wars from 1423 to 1454. The War of Ferrara from 1482 to 1484. Conflict between the Ottomans and Venetians that lasted over 3 centuries. And also, France and Spain constantly fought for control of the Italian peninsula from 1494 until 1559, and that is just in Italy. So imagine how the rest of Europe's doing. Don't forget, the Eastern Roman Empire was there until the 16th fucking century. A lot happened. There was so much going on. So it's not that people all of a sudden randomly got super obsessed with death. It's that they got really into death because it was all they had. Death imagery became a huge symbol in this period because it was what they had. And also, it functioned as a social commentary. I've talked about it before. I don't think I have it. Do I? Oh, I do have it. But we can actually hang on. It's social commentary, but also I could talk about these because I haven't been really doing that. So on the left we have the Danse Macabre, or the Dance of Death. It started from the Cemetery of the Innocents in France. It is no longer around. They were these murals on the walls of the cemetery, and it depicted this dance of people alongside these skeletons. And later, I think John Lydgate or Guy Marchand, one of them, added a poem, but I don't think the original Dance of Death had the poem underneath it. And essentially what it was is it was a message about death being the ultimate equalizer. It was a message that even though you are rich or you're poor or you're a pope, a king, a peasant, whatever, in death everyone is made equal. It's the ultimate equalizer. And it doesn't matter how much stuff you do or you don't have, you're gonna die. And also, it's formed a backdrop during this time because there was like these sermons that were described as apocalyptic sermons held in the cemetery, and they had this Dance of Death in the background behind them. We don't know what the original Dance of Death looked like, but if you're interested in it, Guy Marchand did replicate it and sell them as these like woodcut books, and you can find them. These copies of these books still exist because it's very like widespread. But it's Guy Marchand. It's like merchant but with an A instead of an E. Very interesting stuff. And then on the right we have this weird fucked up skull, and that's because if you looked at it from a different angle, like if you were standing next to it and you looked at it from the side, it would look like a normal skull, which is really cool. It's all about like perspective. I don't know if there's like a way you could do it on like a computer, but when you go up to the physical painting and you like stand to the side of it, it looks like a perfect skull. It's really cool. Boop. And this is actually the last one that I have written, and then we can look at my silly little books if you guys want. There was also the Ars Moriendi, which was literally a guide on how to like dying well. It would be just like stuff to do to prepare you for dying, because you're here for a short time and you're probably gonna die to a plague or a war or syphilis. Here's how to die well. You get that. You get a lot of oh my god, I'm blanking on what it's called. A lot of skulls. Ars what? Ars Moriendi. It's Moriendo, I think. It's the art of dying well. It's these books that are guides on how to die, essentially. I've talked about this on stream the other day, but when I say that it was also social commentary, so this is Peter Bruegel the Elder's The Triumph of Death, which is another art motif popular during this period. It looks just like a damn, this sucks. There's a lot of death happening here. This is a lot of people, skeletons killing people. The thing that this is actually about is all the way in the back. You guys see this guy like laying face down right there? This little red cross, that was a cross favored by the Spanish Inquisition. So all of a sudden, this is not just a painting on like, oh shit, dead people killing people. This is a painting about, oh, this is a social commentary on the Spanish Inquisition and the way that people are getting killed just for the sake of religion. Damn crazy. But this happens a lot. This happens a lot with like the Dance of Death and the Triumph of Death, and people use these art pieces to mean multiple different things. For some people, it's talk about how death is the ultimate equalizer. For some people, it's supposed to be like, hey, you will die, but Jesus will protect you. And there's just so many different things that all of these death symbols were used for, and it's sad that they had to be a culture of death just because of the circumstances, but in a way, it's good that they were able to use it in their favor and use it as such a powerful tool of like symbol. So anyway, those were all of my notes. Those are my 21 slides of art history. And that was the very, very basics of the European Renaissance. I don't know what happens afterwards. I don't really care. But yeah, that is the basics of the Northern European and also Italian Renaissance. Jazz hands. So much happened. I have questions. I took 3 pages of notes. Yes, I will accept your questions now. You can lay your questions on me. I can't guarantee that I know the answers, but at least I'll look pretty answering. But yes, go ahead. You can impart onto me your questions. I wonder if I actually have any other drawings. Also, Giorgio Vasari, the artist, he's also the first person to really. He's like the first art historian. He's like the first person to write stuff down, and that's sick. We actually we know that a lot. We know a lot about Italian artists because Giorgio Vasari wrote about them, and it's very rare to have a first person account of these people and of this time period. But Vasari is like, I'm gonna write about everyone and I'm gonna tell you why I do or I don't like them. And then sometimes he wrote other editions and he was like, I changed my mind about that person. Their stuff actually goes hard, dude. I also can tell you guys about some of the people in the Renaissance who were gay, but this wasn't very well known back in the time, but I'm going to tell you, I'm pulling up my Italian notes. A gossip book? Kind of. Gay people are real? They so are, dude. Oh my god. People, fuck. Oh my god, I can tell you about Caravaggio! I'm gonna get my Caravaggio book. Hang on. Wait, it's very important. I'm so sorry if anyone just saw my butt. I'm getting my books. I'm back. It's very fun to learn about for me because I'm an art history major but with literature focus, and it's so different how we look at things and how art meant for people in art history. Okay, so Caravaggio, he made some really pretty art. He was a late Renaissance Baroque artist. He actually got in a lot of trouble for these paintings because they were considered too sexy. I know one in particular. And I have to be careful because... Okay, this one. This wasn't allowed to be displayed. This was commissioned. It wasn't allowed to be displayed because it was considered too attractive. And also they thought that this was... some people think that this was like somebody who was like his like gay lover. Literally right here in this book right here, during his lifetime, Caravaggio was deemed unacceptably provocative and death offered no reprieve. His first biographer detested him and did not spare his memory. Rumors spread. He was accused of plagiary and theft. His works were reattributed and assigned to his more reassuring rivals, respected academics of high repute. but God, he was so talented, and he invented or was like one of the first people to invent something called chiaroscuro. And chiaroscuro is essentially just like the usage of light. It's like the very dark darks and the very bright brights. And he's kind of like the person that like spearheaded this. And his stuff is so pretty. He is probably one of my favorite. He is probably one of my favorite artists. Caravaggio. Yeah, I did like thumb through this with salt here, and I was like, look at all this. I'm gonna talk to you about this, and we're gonna learn about all this. That's what you get for being my friend. If you are in close proximity to me, I'll be like, all right, do you want to learn about our history? Yes, you do. Okay, wait, what was Jamp's question? I had a comment / question about an element of this. I was wondering if you had any specific information or thoughts about how proper sources of history might be defined or valued. Proper sources might be defined or valued. Do you mean like what exactly of that do you mean? Oh, proper sources of history. Okay, no, I got it. Okay. It's hard because sometimes when this is in reference to earlier when we talked about the bias of history and there being different perspectives, it's really hard because there are a lot of alternate perspectives out there, and I know that everyone's like, how do we know what the truth is? Here's the thing. You don't know what the truth is because you weren't there. But what you can do is you can read about it from every perspective and come to what the truth is for you. A great example of this, in Savannah, Georgia, the people that lived there before, I'm blanking on, I think it was the Creeks, maybe. The people who lived there before, the agreement and the thing that people have said throughout history is that Oglethorpe, the settler that came down and colonized that area, is that he came to an agreement with them for the land. And just based on how history is, it's very rare that when people say that they got an agreement for the land, that they don't actually mean that they stole the land. And the problem with this history is that it's hard because there are books written about them to a degree, but it's also hard because there's not any like firsthand sources or people who were around. So I say this phrase a lot, but all you can do is the best that you can do. You read what you can and you look at what's available to you, and then you kind of base what you believe the truth is based off of other people's perspectives. Because if you read history from the perspective of the visible histories like we talked about, then you are never going to learn in life or in the world. Shock wow, gay people existed before the modern days. Not the shoulders. No fuck allowed. No, so the reason he got in trouble because it's very provocative, but the way that he drew men was so pretty that it made people be like, oh no, he's hot. That's it. That's kind of it. That's the deal with Caravaggio, is he made people too attractive. And people got mad about it. They didn't allow men to be pretty back then. Damn, that's a shame. Kind of. You're so real for that. The urge to drop the bomb about the psychological effects that Sylvia Plath had while writing the bell jar on a first date is strong. Best thing about history, you gotta play a guessing game based on the maybe biased recollection of it. I experienced a lot of historical bias in going through Norse mythology and the family of Loki and Loki himself. Yeah, bias is everywhere. It was the Creek. Yeah. The Yamacraw. Oh no, he's hot. Me every day. So true. I get so much shit from art professors for loudly announcing Van Gogh is gay. He was, though. He literally, in his drawing, like his sketchbooks, he has drawings of himself having sex with his apprentices. Like, he has, like, drawings of anal sex in there. Like, this is a thing. But also, sexuality back then was different than it is now. Um, because there is different layers to it. The understanding of gay was not the way that it was back then. And they were apprentices? Yeah. There's also, when you talk a lot about, like, Greco-Roman period, there's a lot of stuff there, because there's a lot of the conversation of, you'll hear this a lot where people be like, oh my god, they have different kinds of love. And that is true, but also one of them was that the closest you could be to your master as an apprentice, which is people who are like 12 and 14, was by having sex with them. And obviously in this day and age, that's really bad. That's like bad. But it wasn't about like sexuality and stuff back then. It was just a thing. And that doesn't mean that it was okay back then or okay now, but it was a different time. So you won't really see stuff about people being like, oh yeah, like it's really hard to go back into history and be like, yeah, this specific person was gay, because it's just a different way of thinking. Olive oil was a very popular expert for a reason. Yeah, you're not wrong. But also, I have Donatello was a huge drama queen, and he is also accused of sodomy, which is something that was punishable by death, but it was rarely enforced because of the fact that so many people were having gay sex. But it wasn't like socially acceptable. And also Donatello's I can't show this sculpture because it involves nudity. But Donatello's David sculpture is definitely a sculpture. If it's the one I'm thinking of, yeah. So it's essentially this very like effeminate man, like hand on the hip. There's this like he has like the slayed head of Goliath underneath his foot. And there's this very people write about this all the time, but the feather on his hat, like Goliath's the slain Goliath's head, the feather very like sensually goes up David's thigh or like David's leg. And oh my god, people were so mad about it. They used this sculpture that he did as part of the reason for accusing him of being gay and of sodomy, is because they were like, this sculpture is proof that you're gay, bro. And like, what do you even do then? Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci, it says right here, he had two prominent long-term partners. Also, fun fact, there's like the rumor that like there's this rumor that Leonardo da Vinci dissected bodies and stuff. That's not like true, by the way. Like, he did look at dissected bodies for anatomical purposes and for studying them, but these dissections were also medical and under the jurisdiction of institutes or the fucking Vatican. So he wasn't doing them himself. That would be insane. Do you really think they're like, oh, you're an artist? You painted the Mona Lisa? Yeah, you can go ahead and dissect a human body. Like, no, they had morals back then. You don't just do that. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, Piero della Francesca, first person to write a treatise dedicated to perspective. When the dearth of I went to art school, I can perform a dissection. No. If I had a nickel for every woman who died tragically that wrote about her secret lesbian lover in her books, I'd be rich. You can't kiss men, but you can dissect a body? Wild rumor. I'm pinning that. That was good. Oh, did other people have any questions in regards to, like, our little lecture, though, by the way? Because I'm here. Tell me your stuff. Tell me your stuff. In the meantime, I can get more drawings. I have to, like, screen them beforehand because I can't show penises on Twitch. These are not colored. This one's colored. This is the Limburg's brothers. They are a very, very, the Limburg brothers are really, really well known because they did a lot of really pretty books of hours. God, their stuff is so pretty. I thought that was a cheese. No. Who wants to do the real college thing of raising their hand to say something completely fucking unrelated? That's just you, Wenzel. Oh my god, I didn't talk about him, but Viet Stas. Ugh. God, Viet Stas' stuff is so pretty. Tillman Reimenschneider, Viet Stas. Oh my god, their stuff is so pretty. It is like wood. It is woodcut limestone or limewood or something. Limewood. It's limewood carved. And oh my god, they are so pretty. Tillman Reimenschneider, Viet Stas. I think about them and I just like sit there and I'm like, the ornateness. Yeah, so that was very, very popular with illuminated manuscripture. If you were really, really into that kind of stuff, like the one that I just showed you, look into illuminated manuscripture because there is some really, really cool stuff, particularly within books of hours. Or that's what people would do like their whole lives, is that scribes would get into these monasteries and just be working on these books of hours for like ever and ever and ever. And that would be their lives, is they'd be making these really ornate, gorgeous, like hand done pictures on this like really like thin vellum. And it's so cool. There's really, really cool like Eastern ones. There's a lot of really cool Chinese and Japanese like Buddhist ones. What I really like about them is that they're like colored paper like that, like they're blue and they're black. It's very cool. Good soup. There's also atlases, almanacs. It's just so cool. I took an entire class about medieval manuscripts. But this is like when you see like the fancy writing. This was all done in like the Middle Ages. There are like modern day equivalents of books of hours and stuff. I would argue that the modern equivalent of Book of Hours and medieval manuscripture and illuminated manuscripts, the modern day equivalent of that would be artist books, which is books that are made like for art's sake. I would argue that that is like the natural progression of them. Here's some. And it's crazy to think about the people who would sit in these monasteries and just for hours and days and years of their lives just like work on perfecting them and making them all so beautiful like this. Like, it's crazy that that's not like just the time to sit. Like, some of you guys can't even sit down and eat dinner without like 7 different things playing at once. These people just sat there and worked on these very ornate, beautiful pieces of manuscript, and they weren't even getting paid like a lot for it or at all. And they were just doing it for like the sake of art, but also because of that's what they believed in. A lot of these are like people made this art to spread what they believed was right. So like religion. It's very cool. Did you know old Greek busts used to be colorful? It's by the time we found the Muslim faded. I did. I had mentioned this earlier that all of them used to be painted because it was cheaper. But they were originally bronze, and then the replicas of them were marble. I don't know if the bronze were painted, but usually the marbles would be painted. This happens a lot though. There's a lot of like even in like terracotta art, a lot of them were painted, but they're not anymore. Crazy how people used to do art without blasting sad gay music in the background. Yes, I know the name. It sounds familiar. I just don't. Hi, Lynn. The name is familiar. Rar, hello. The name is familiar. I'm paging through my notes. I don't think I have anything here about it. That's the Medici family, I'm assuming, based on the name, that that's probably the Medici families. Yeah, it is the Medici library. The Medici were a very powerful family in Florence. I think that they were merchants. Let's see. It was built of the Medici Pope. Okay. The library building is renowned for its architecture that was designed by Michelangelo as an example of mannerism. Stretch. Thank you for the stretch. Big stretch. Do you know what dibs are? Do you mean like when someone calls dibs or like a food item? Maybe I don't know about this, Jam. I might not. There's so much of the world. The ice cream. Yes, I do. Oh my god, my head hurts from talking. I'm like lightheaded a little bit. I'm gonna play music. We're gonna play music. But I hope you guys enjoyed my little art history talk. I really enjoy the Renaissance. It's super cool, and the thing that I enjoyed the most about like learning about it all is that I would be sitting there and she'd be telling me about like the people. And that was the most fun, is that I liked learning about the people and what people did back then and how they felt and why they did the things that they did. Like, that is so cool to me. They were alive and they loved. It's the humanity of it all. It's the humanity of it all. They were alive and they loved each other and they cried and they had hobbies and they wanted to make art for the sake of making art, and damn it, did they. What a fitting song. I know, I just pressed shuffle and it just went right there. But now you guys know very basic stuff about, and they kissed men. And they kissed men. But now you guys know some basics about Northern Renaissance and also the Italian Renaissance. But I love the Italian Renaissance. I love the Northern Renaissance. I just love the Renaissance. I was gonna write a paper about Caravaggio. I was gonna write my thesis on basically all of the different symbols of death in the Renaissance. And then my thesis advisor was like, "Hey, Bite, that would be a dissertation. Don't do that." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And I didn't do that, but I almost did. But I also chose a really hard topic for my thesis. That was like my teacher, my advisor told me that it was hard. And I was like, oopsies. I love when men. I have 3 pages of notes. I am so happy. Yippee! It's so interesting learning how truly human we used to be and how many we still are. We live, we die, we suffer, and that's beautiful, I think. Yeah. But art history is so cool. It's so cool, man. Trying to think of like God though, like after the Renaissance, you do get like it does get weird for a period there, like Hieronymus Bosch. We talked about him earlier. He was making these paintings about people having crazy sex, and like these paintings were insane. Like Hieronymus Bosch was making these like orgy scenes essentially. And just for fun. But also it was like a lot of the stuff was supposed to be like, "Oh, this is what hell looks like." But it seemed like when you look at these paintings, it's like, I know that you're depicting hell, but you kind of seem like you want to go there, dude. But yeah, him and like orgies and some great monsters. Yeah, that's Hieronymus Bosch. Orgies and great monsters. He's like, "I've heard of all the shit that you do. I've seen your religion, I've seen your God, but consider this. Instruments made out of people flesh and organs." And everyone's just like, "Yeah, alright, dude. Carry on." Weird guy. Weird guy, Hieronymus Bosch. I appreciate the history lesson. I genuinely loved it. Thank you. Yippee! I am so glad to hear. Thank you, Farron, for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome in. I'm sleepy now. I'm tired. I'm eepy sleepy. Bosch is a freak in many ways. God, yeah. But your head is so cute. Thank you. Mossy made it. I want to take the Renaissance class. Oh. I'm gonna go back to school, actually. I don't know if I've told you guys about this. I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school for psychology. I looked at his art. It's so cool. It is cool. He's just also, he is definitely like, this guy was on something. Hieronymus Bosch is definitely on something. Cool as hell. On something for sure. But academy and academia and stuff is all just so cool. And even now, would you guys believe me if I told you that I can present to you all of that in less than 2 hours and I still feel as if I don't know anything about the Renaissance? Would you guys believe me if I said that? Because I very often feel like I don't know anything. I don't know enough artists or anything. Like, am I even an art history major? Um, to be honest, you've already basically studied the DSM-5, so I want to be a psychologist. I'm gonna be a school psychologist. That's what I want to go to school for. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I always kind of felt in the odd man out in my field just because I came into the major very late and the people in it were not very receptive to like newcomers. And so getting into it was really hard. But like I did it anyway and I did it happily. But I would sit there in those classes and she would say like an artist and everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." And I'd be like, "What the fuck is she talking about?" And no one would explain. So much of learning about big topics is just feeling like you don't know anything. I still don't feel like I know anything. But eh. Sleepy. But I enjoyed this. I will read you guys the thesis statement for my essay about the next one that I want to do, which is about medieval manuscripture and Christian fear-mongering. I will get it and read it. The teacher for this class was so impressed by what I wrote that he actually elected it to be in a symposium because, and he said this, I submitted this and he gave it back to me and he said, "You described in 7 pages what people write entire books about, and you did it in 7 pages." And I was like, I mean, it seemed obvious. And he told me to put it in a symposium. And it didn't win, but it was really, really cool. Here, I will read you guys my my thesis kind of paragraph of the introduction paragraph of this. So, it's the essay was called "A Christian Fear Tactic: The Monstrous Races in European Medieval Manuscripts." And the introduction to it is headless men, black temptresses, and cannibalistic dog-headed peoples. Dramatized monstrous portrayals of race are a medieval European invention depicting non-Christians outside of the civilized European scope. Prevalent in manuscripts and maps of the world, these races represented outsiders in the unknown. Monstrous races, hideous and heart-stopping, were used as a fear-mongering device to support Christianity and perpetrate an ideology of a white European superiority following a proto-racism concept founded in times of antiquity. That is the introduction to my thesis. Not my thesis. This is a 7-page thing. Holy fuck, you are so smart. That's gorgeous. uh Essentially what it boils down to is that in times of Greco-Roman antiquity, they had this concept of, they call it proto-racism. And it'd be a sick gamer tag. What proto-racism was, it was essentially it's the beginnings of what we know as modern day racism. And that is just this concept of being like anyone who wasn't Greek and Roman was like a barbarian and a savage. And then from there, in the Middle Ages of Europe, it was not racism in terms of your race is different than mine or your skin color is different than mine, fuck you. Medieval racism was based on if you were a Christian or not, which is really interesting. And it was very fascinating because I'd be looking at these manuscripts and I'd be like, why are they all white? And then I just studied it, and then there's a lot of stuff written about it and about this concept of proto-racism and the monstrous races. Why are they all white men? Yeah. Well, because the thing is too is that they were like, this isn't about like if you are like wherever you're from or your culture or ethnicity, all they cared about was whether or not you were Christian. So even if somebody was like non-white, if they were a Christian, they were depicted as white. And we know this is the case because of biblical stories of characters and people who are people of color, but who are drawn as being white because they're Christians. And it's interesting how that is like the beginning of it all. Evil. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about racism is it's not inherently logical, guys. It's not good. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. The ancient Greeks also called, if you wanted to think about any time you hear people being like, oh my god, the Greeks and the Romans are so fucking cool. Here's some things that that ancient Roman ancient Greece thought. Uh the Greeks believed that they were the superior race because of the fact of their geographical location, and they thought that because of the geographical location, it affected their personalities. They thought that people from Asia lacked masculinity and also had no sense of individualized independence. They called ancient Greeks believed that Asians were, and I quote, natural slaves, end quote, and that Europeans were mentally inadequate. That is ancient Greece ideology for you. So anytime someone's like, oh my god, ancient Greece and ancient Rome, like, they were sucking their own dicks and balls and tits and everything, dude. Like, they were not great. They believed that, like, if we conquered somebody, that means that we are better, and those people that we conquered are having the demeanor of natural born slaves. That is what the Greeks believed. They were like, you lost because you were meant to be a slave. Could you fucking believe that shit, dude? They were fucked up. Yeah, dude. Yeah, my thesis statement for this entire paper is monstrous races were created out of a lack of understanding Asia and Africa, of Christian fear of outsiders, and a product of proto-racism. Woof. They also, literally, everyone, like, back in the day, you know how, like, nowadays they tell you, like, oh, if you see someone who's black, you don't typically say African because not all people who are black are from Africa. Back then it was worse because if you were black at all, they called you Ethiopian exclusively and nothing else. My thesis was that everything equals a quarter note, but that's cool too. This wasn't my thesis. This is just a paper I wrote in class. That was my thesis statement in my paper, though. Woof, though. This was such a banger paper. I'm still really proud of it. Ah, yes, the one country in Africa. Uh-huh. But there's really cool research done for all of this. Also, Jamp, I think you were asking earlier what are good places for research. The Getty Museum has a lot of, like, you can actually buy, like, books off of their website, but also JSTOR. What the fuck? So, like, what the Romans did the Greek? Huh? Well, let me see. I wish I, like, these are books that I had grabbed from my, like, library at school. I wish that I just, like, had them. I wish that I had bought these books. So, let's see. Where's my section about proto-racism? The Ethiopian thing came from Europe, by the way. Like, the Greeks and the Romans didn't make the calling all black people Ethiopian thing. That was a European invention, because of course it was. Why wouldn't it be? But it did start. It started in Greco-Roman antiquity, but it became real bad in Europe. And there's a really interesting section about the difference between the depiction of like skin color, because skin color in medieval manuscripture wasn't for like it wasn't for a racism like deal. Like a lot of the people that would be depicted as being pale, it wasn't supposed to be like a we are whitewashing them. It's that the monstrous races were anybody who did not have just like the generic like color of the book pages. So yeah, the concept being that anyone with a skin color that wasn't white, that is a inherently rooted in racism belief. But the people who were doing it were not being like, oh, whatever, you know. It's different because proto-racism and stuff like that. I'd have to go back and reread this, and I'd probably just read you guys the paper word for word because it's a banger. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in this one, and I kind of, if people liked this talk, I would love to talk about that aspect of medieval manuscripture, because medieval manuscripture is so pretty, and there's just like so much. There's so much. But it boils down to people being like, I don't understand what that thing is, so I'm gonna be fucked up about it. And then they did. And then they did. Let me plus play on the music again. I'm skipping the song. It's a little bit intense for right now. That one's a little too hyper right now. Okay, that's sure, whatever. As far as I understand, the Romans just started calling all the islands the same thing, despite everyone in the separate islands being like, no, though I could be not entirely correct. People suck. That still happens today. Yeah, but this has always been the case, and the best thing you can do to get around that is learn and grow and learn about other people and other cultures and customs. When I was in school, I learned about the Golagichi, and if any of you don't know who the Golagichi were, it is a community of people along the East Coast, particularly in Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, like in the islands. They are the descendants of freed or escaped enslaved people. Like the combination of all of the religions and cultures and customs of these freed or escaped enslaved people, all of these cultures and customs got smushed together. Throw in a tad of Christianity and Catholicism in there, and that is like the Golagichi. And this is like, these are people that are in America and exist in America, and this is a culture that is just here, and I didn't hear about it until I was doing like a research paper on it, and I was like, what the fuck, these people are like, this is like entire like identity and culture and community is in my backyard, and I did not even know. The whole monstrous racist thing and how it still happens to this day has me so interested as a Native American person. Yeah, that was the big thing too. Actually, one of the aspects in that paper that I wrote about is that um people would be traveling to the new world, you know, like America and stuff like that, and they would come back with these drawings of people and being like, oh my god, they're cannibals, and there's like all these different kinds of people here, and they were depictions of like native people, because they didn't understand slash want to understand. And so because they didn't understand, they would spread these depictions of like headless people or like cannibals or people with dog heads or any kind of like physical whatever, and be like, this group of people exists in Africa or in the Americas. And then like they would just spread that. Like there are like atlases and like maps and manuscripture made in this period by people who went and explored the Americas and in Africa, and they came back with these things being like, oh my god, they're so scary. Stupidest stuff. My dad actually knows. Oh, he knows Gola. That's interesting. Golagichi was also really cool to me because I am Cuban American. I'm Cuban American. But because of immigration and whitewashing, I'm not super in touch with my culture. Um, but one of the things that's practiced in Cuba is Santeria, and Santeria is a syncretic spirituality of Yoruban belief system, which is in like Africa, and also just Christianity and Catholicism. And a lot of the spiritual practices of people in like Louisiana and in like Cuba and anybody in from like the Afro-Atlantic diaspora, which is like the Afro-Atlantic slave trade and the displacement of people because of that. A lot of those religions and spiritualities have a lot of overlap of customs and ideology just because of the fact that there are a lot of like the root being like stuff from Africa. And even though there's different people, different countries, different tribes, like even though there's so much there, a lot of them would overlap in some way, shape, or form. So Cuban Santeria was actually made based off of the different like black folks who were forcibly brought there, and it just kind of like it took in also Catholicism and Christianity and kind of made this new thing. And a lot of like the Haitian voodoo or any kind of voodoo or any like spirituality and practices in like the Americas or anything like that, a lot of it has a starting point and all of them kind of overlap. It's very neat. I'm sure I could have said that in a much more solid way. I have so many thoughts in my head. Um point of the story. Point of it is though that it's very cool and it's crazy that there is all of this stuff even in our own backyard and we just don't even think about it. Or like we didn't even get told about it. What do you mean they like I but luckily you can just go and learn about it, you know? So, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Golagichi. I know so much, but at the same time I feel like I know nothing, you know? I'm really mad because I took an art and spirituality class. I feel that as an immigrant Nigerian who grew up in the US and have very little relation to my culture, even though I can visit my relationship with it, so odd. And what I do know is little because of the erasure of LGBT people because of political tension. I'm on the proverbial other side of this is very white, but I'm constantly trying to expand my knowledge and awareness about the invisible histories because it's so fundamental to everything. So true. In the Americas, you hear a lot about like the hidden histories of like Native people. And this is true. There is a lot of hidden history there, but also there is a huge hidden history in the enslaved and freed enslaved and escaped enslaved peoples. Like, that is what our country is built on. There's two, like, majorly overlooked perspectives culturally. And those are, like, native perspectives from, like, the people whose land we fucking stole. And also the descendants of enslaved people where like they were forced to come here. I'm sad a lot of the super old British / Celtic stuff out there is so tainted by white supremacist shit because I'd love to actually have a culture connection to something. Oh, I'm so sorry. But as in the ethnic group, I don't have my glasses on. It looks far away. I thought you just typoed LGBT. I'm sorry. And a woman isn't any good. I love teaching people my culture, even if it's just the silly stories about how a raven stole the sun. Yeah, that's the thing. You'll hear a lot about, like, people being like, oh, white people don't have any culture, white people this, white people that. Like, guys, there's more than just British and France in terms of white people. And there is a lot of really rich and important history there too, but you're right. It is also tainted by colonialism and white supremacy. But it's important to know that even when looking into your own history as someone who is white. And I think that, like, this is gonna sound like crazy, you know, but I want you to like take it with a grain of salt. And that is that Wetzel, I'm so sorry. Dear white people, it is okay that you are white. Okay? And what I mean by that is that you hating other white people and yourself. Whoa, hi, speaking of no, I'm joking. Thank you so much for the raid. Hi, Jude. How was your My Little Pony stream? Hello. We just finished our history talks. We're just kind of talking about like culture and hidden histories and all kinds of stuff right now. But thank you so much for the raid. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope your My Little Pony time was well. If any of you guys are new here, hi, my name is Bite. I'm a variety streamer, but I primarily do Minecraft content, and tonight we are talking about art history and culture and the hidden histories and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're not already participating and hanging out with us, you should. It's fun and we're having a good time and we're talking about deep fun stuff. But also if you're not already following, be sure to follow. It's free and you could unfollow later if you want to, but why would you want to? I am so cool. But I hope your stream was well. I am lifting you up and spinning you around. And good morning, Olive. Oh, but I was gonna say, in regards to like European and white people, it's like okay if you're white, like yeah, you guys got a lot of colonialism and a lot of problems and there's a lot of white supremacy, but also you hating white people is not gonna fix all of that. It is okay to be proud of your culture if it is not coming from a place of colonialism and of putting down other people and other cultures and other ethnicities in favor of that. You can be proud that you're like any like Welsh fucking whatever, I don't even know. There's so many of them. My head is full of bees. But like you can be proud of that and that can be important to you, but you can also keep in mind the fact that a lot of white history is largely based in colonialism and like bad shit. Like you can have both of these at the same time. You are not an ally as a white person. You are not an ally as a white person if you just say that you hate white people. That is not allyship, that is performative. What makes you an ally is acknowledging the actual faults of like what your culture or what your race have done, acknowledging the faults, acknowledging the shortcomings, acknowledging the horrors and atrocities, and then trying to rectify it by educating yourself and doing better. That is like allyship. Allyship is not I'm a white person, I also hate white people, me. Like do you want a sticker? Do you want me to give you a prize that like as a white person you're like, oh, look at me, I'm an ally, I'm a white person, I'm an ally because I hate other white people? Like do you want a sticker for that? No. You can't just say that and then like expect that means that like, oh yeah, I'm not racist. Like no, everyone inherently is like some degree of racist. It's baked into your fucking country's soil. You know, Americans are kind of like that is a whole other like a thing that you could go down, but you are not an ally as a white person if you just go I hate white people. Like you're not an ally. You can do better. I believe in you. You can do better if you actually care and want to be an ally. Do better than just that. Allyship does not start and stop at I hate white people. That's not allyship. Do better. My family's mostly Eastern European who immigrated to the UK after World War II. And I'm so pissed that I know next to nothing about my heritage other than, oh yeah, they're European. I find Irish, Norse, English, and Welsh mythology and culture so fascinating. I wish more of it was around. I also wish people acknowledge a good amount of them weren't always considered white. Hating yourself ain't helping us see the fuck up of others and be willing to listen to POC. Being an ally, I'm pitting that. Being an ally isn't rooted in hatred. Being an ally is not supposed to be rooted in shame. It is not supposed to be rooted in guilt. It should not be rooted in hatred. If you want to be a good ally, whether that means racially, in terms of LGBT stuff, in terms of literally anything, even if you are a man and you just want to be an ally to other minorities or women or any kind of gender identity outside of being male, being an ally does not start and stop at hating that aspect of yourself. I fucking hate when men are, or like any kind of stuff of being like, I'm a man, I'm not like other men because I hate men, fuck men. Or like, I'm a gay man, but I actually hate men, they're so gross. Like, shut the fuck up. Do you want a sticker? Like, what? No, I'm a white person. I hate white people. I'm not like other white people. Like, it's all the same. This is all the same. It's the same thing in different fonts. Shut up. Shut up. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about being proud of who you are and your culture, as long as that isn't rooted in hatred and bigotry. You can be white and have a deep connection to your culture and your customs and you know, whatever the fucking that entails. Like, you can, that is fine. It is okay, dude. The thing that makes it not okay is when you look past and ignore a history of imperialism or of colonialism or ethnic cleansing or any of the fucking laundry list of things, you know? Just like listen to other people. Listen to other people, respect other people, and learn about things. Even if you don't agree with it, dude. Like, it's better to learn about a thing and hear that perspective and that belief and whatever. It's better to learn about it and disagree than never learn about it at all. You know? Your whiteness isn't the issue, it's your bigotry. And no amount of hating, of saying that I'm a white person, I hate white people, that is not gonna do anything. I don't care. You are not special for that. What is the problem? Because if you're like, oh yeah, why do you hate white people? And they're like, colonialism. Okay, and how does that impact modern America? And they like can't immediately like tell you, you know? It's like the people who are like, I support women, but the pay gap isn't real. Educate yourself. There's the same kind of people that go and guilt trip anyone who isn't super so loud about being an ally, but then go and do something that directly makes it worse. I don't know if you guys have seen this saying or seen this, like, I think it's on Tumblr. It's this post about this person who's like, I trust any well-intentioned Southern person who fucks up and uses the wrong language way more than I trust a city folk white, like, performative ally. And the post is something like that. They're like, I would much rather a country person accidentally call me the wrong thing but have good intentions and mean and try and respect and treat me well than whatever performative shit's going on over there. And I think about that a lot. I despise peas, but you don't see me complaining. It's a very basic way of thinking about it, but yeah. God, I will never get over when I wrote about the post-blackness movement, especially in relation to the movie Get Out. Uh, and I hadn't known anything about that going into it. This was like something that was like assigned to me. And all of the people in that class were white. Like I was the only like Hispanic person in that class as far as I can remember. And in that class, I had a Discord and like a couple of my friends in there, and I was like, "Hey, any folks who are like actually black, if you feel like comfortable and like want to chat about it, I'm writing about this, and I want to make sure that I am not misportraying anything or speaking in a way that is not correct." And I like two friends had been like, "Yeah, sure, like toss it over," and we'd gone over it and like hashed it out and stuff. And then before giving my presentation, I spent a good like little bit of time making it very clear that like I am a white passing individual, and even though I'm like Hispanic and insert other different minorities here, I am still white passing and I am not black, and I cannot speak on the behalf of actual people who experience this and like are black. And I like gave this, and I was like, make sure that I could still have an opinion and say on this, but my voice is not as important as people who are actually black and writing about this. And you should elevate and listen to those voices. And I said this before my presentation, and then I got docked for it. My teacher took points away from me because he said that I knocked down my credibility because of that. Make it make sense, you know? My grandma's a lovely woman. She's almost 84 and raised Christian and rooted in her ways, and she fucks up and isn't always calling me the right pronoun, but she's trying to learn. She asks questions, and when I don't want to answer, she respects that because it's not about being correct always. It's about wanting to learn. Mm-hmm. Bullshit. No, for real. He docked me points because he said that I like took away some of my credibility in saying that. And I was like, you know what? I will take that because I'd rather say that and be like, my opinion matters, but not as much as the actual voices and opinions of people who this directly fucking like affects. I would much rather say that and get docked points than like not say it at all. You know? Like what the fuck? Okay, suck my nuts, dude. Out of this one, admit they aren't the demographic, and to consult that demographic that anyone who will say their word is strong and everything. Literally, I was like, hey man, I'm not black, and I come from a place of experiencing white privilege. And I ran this by people who were like, this looks good, but also I'm not like I cannot write this in a way that is like authentic. It's like when a straight person tries to write gay romance, it's gonna be dog shit, you know? Um like I just like I can't believe he docked me like points on that. What a whatever. Maybe if he had been like, "Oh, you spent a lot of time on this," then like whatever, I'd get it. But that just felt so like I don't even know. It was something about my like credibility. I don't remember. Thank you, Demi. I agree. I do too. I was like, I did the bare minimum, man. Like what? I had to go out and read about all this because I don't experience it because I'm not black, and like I had to go out and read that. But these are people who are experiencing this, and this is just like every day, you know. And I was like, I'm not gonna know a lot about this because I'm someone who is white passing. Apparently, that was the wrong thing to say. Whatever. He can suck it, you know. We don't have to understand. We have to love. True. Um, one of the things that I learned about in junior high, and it's really ironic because I learned this at a Christian junior high, and I didn't learn it because of the Christian junior high. I learned it because of a field trip we went on. But we went on this field trip, and essentially the message was that they wanted people to learn about tolerance and just being like, you may not understand somebody, but you gotta at least be willing to be tolerant and like put aside your differences and just like respect someone, because at the end of the day we're all people. And it's really funny because I went there at a Christian junior high where they were one of those schools where if you breathed wrong you were going to hell. And anyway, I think that's why I have mental disorders and also I am the way that I am. That's a joke. I had those beforehand. Childhood. Um but it's really like it's crazy because we're taught from such a young age to treat others as we want to be treated. And then we grow up and then they're like, "Do you remember all of that?" Wrong. Pipe bomb. Be a bigot. Like, ah! It's crazy. Be nice to each other. I'm shaking and grabbing people. Like, I don't care that you're mean. So is everyone else. Be nice. Try that. Fuck, man. Yeah, be a bigot. That's what I'm saying. That is the message. I do want people to be bigots, Salt. This is true. I just want people to be nice to each other. Be nice. Be fucking nice. Please. I'm sleepy. We talked about so much today. But I hope you guys have been enjoying though. I had a lot of fun. And I or go yell at Salt. What am I gonna what the hell? Be nice, please. I'll cry. But I hope you guys enjoyed my little art history talk and then talking about kind of more than that. I enjoyed. Um I think it's important to still use the skills that we learn in academia and in school for things that still interest us and to share that knowledge with the world. Um it's important, you know? It's important to keep using those skills that you've built upon, and it's also important to just like share it with people. The outfit slaps today. Thank you. I'm wearing a cute skirt too. You guys just can't see it. Maybe that'll fix me. Maybe I'll stand up. Maybe that'll fix me. I think I did flash you guys earlier a little bit, and for that I am sorry. Big stretchy. Ta-da. Sleepy. I just said for you guys. I was wearing pants and then I got home and I was like, that shit's gotta come off. I'm not wearing pants anymore. um, you're so pretty. You're very cute. Thank you. But I do a little spin, but I cannot do it very fast because my skirt will go up and you will all see my dick and balls. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I've been having a good time with you guys today. I would like to do these kinds of streams not like regularly, but I think it'd be fun to do. There's a couple of ways of doing these kinds of streams that I have in mind. One of them is the game show that I'm gonna be working on. And I don't know if Sen's still here, but we're working on it together. We're making a game show that's kind of encouraging people to research and to study, but also use the stuff you learned in school, but for fun. Um, so we're putting together a game show that involves all of this, and it's gonna be like one of those deals of like anyone, as long as they are a content creator, can like apply and be on it. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for it. I talked about it while playing MCCI the other day, but like, it's gonna be cool. If I saw you in a coffee shop, I don't know if I'd be able to look away and probably end up burning myself with my coffee. Oh my god. Define content creator. So like you're making like streamer YouTuber deal. I'll talk about it because there's a good handful of you guys here. So it's called Plead Your Case, and it is a streamer game show for people who are like YouTubers or Twitch streamers or whatever. And what it is we have a conversation topic. We let people apply and we pick one person for each side of the argument. And then each person will have to basically it's basically a debate about insert thing here. And just to it's fun stuff. There's fun stuff, there's serious stuff, and then there's also just like silly stuff. The first one that we have on our plate is the best horror movie franchise. Is our first one. The first couple of rounds we do of it are probably gonna be like closed like to people we know. But it is gonna be like a live streamed event, and it's gonna be fun. And Sen and I are gonna be cooking that up probably in towards summer. This is probably gonna happen towards like summer. But it's gonna be fun. And it's gonna be pitting so two people making like a debate, like a properly academically sourced argument. And then the way they win, chat. The way they win is by the audience voting for who wins. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. But it's still being cooked. But it's called Plead Your Case, and coming to you, your screen, sometime in summer. Plead Your Case. Hit new streamer game show. There's too many dating ones. I've had enough. I would like war and bloodshed between my friends. Please and thank you. Yeah. So it's gonna be like closed to like friends first, and then depending on the success of it, it's something that we want to be like accessible for people of any size and content creation. So like, I don't care if you're super big or you're like real small. Doesn't matter. All I care about is if you can actually argue your point. Goes from being nice to everyone. I want my friends to fight, and I'm here for it. It's about not serious stuff, to be fair. Some of the conversation, some of the like topics are like stuff that is more serious, but also stuff that's funny, and then also stuff that's just genuinely like, let's get into it. One of the ones that I have is like what you think that the future of content creation looks like, which is like a cool one. So some of these are like funny, haha, you're the best horror movie franchise, and then some of them are more like serious, and then some of them are themed towards like streamer things or content creator things. I don't know. It's a lot of like range of stuff, but it's like a good range of stuff, and it's like a fun range of stuff. I wouldn't make people argue about something that I didn't think was like cool or fun, you know? But I also just know like some of my friends are just very, I know some of you guys would be so good at academics, but you just don't want to do it because it's not something that you like. But guess what? What if I give it to you and it's something that you like? Yay! But it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm gonna go eat bees. Good night, White Eyes. Me having access PowerPoint. I'd love to be on it. I feel like we're gonna have to like redefine what like a content creator is. It'd probably just be like depending on like, it doesn't really matter whatever content you make. I would put artists in that spiel, even if it's not like a YouTube or Twitch thing. I feel like people who post are still content creators. Like, you're still creating content. So I'd probably lump that in there too. We're gonna let people apply to it no matter their size. It's just gonna be based on whether or not people can actually like prove that they are able to put in time and effort. I mean, that's content creation, is it not? Also, I put my hand on my hip like this, and I was like, damn, I kind of look like I'm serving cunt. I do be kind of serving, though. The angle of the shirt also made it briefly look like I had titties. If writers are included, I'm fear. You do be serving. Thank you. I also want to do a charity stream sometime soon. Hand on hip, Michelangelo's David reference. Okay. Sure. You just like tanked my train of thought. Art historians will use this as proof that he's gay. Donatello Dave would be like. I want to do a charity stream sometime soon. Because there's been some stuff lately that has been very personal, and I think it'd be good to bring awareness to it and also to raise funds for it. So I'm excited to be able to do charity stream soon. I also at some point want to do another all-a-thon. I just don't know when yet. Not anytime soon, because I know a lot of people have been doing them lately. And you guys are probably like, no money. So we'll have another one, just not anytime soon. Did I come at the end? We're done with the art history talk. I've had so much to chat. I talked so very much. You missed all the art history. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. I need to drink my liquid. Hang on. Ugh. I'm dehydrated. Ugh. My head is like pulsating. It doesn't hurt, but it's like pulsing. I'm dying. That's, oh no, I know. I need a haircut so badly. But like, the place I go to is like $70. Sorry, I sent Abraxas with my PNG tuber earlier, and he just sent me back a thing that said, "Why is he hot?" I didn't see it until just now. She D on my hydrate till I fucking pass out. What the hell? Abraxas is bitching at me for replying so late. What the fuck? You were watching me talk about art history for 2.5 hours. Like, what do you mean? Why did I respond so late? Sorry, I started picking at my leg. And then snuggle with Sophie. Ugh, she smells. I am not cuddling with her. She's stinky. She's a stinky girl. Give her a bath? No. Hope that helps. Soap the soapy. No. She's a big dog, and big dogs are a pain to bathe. Shit. I'm gonna head out. I'm EP. Thanks for our history lesson again. It was really fun. Yeah, of course. Thank you for letting me talk about it. I do love art history. I did consider being an art history teacher. And then I was like, nah, I'd have to get my PhD. And now I'm going and getting my PhD anyway, but for something else. I can't win, you know? I just cannot win. But I've been really enjoying doing, I got distracted. I've been really enjoying doing, just chatting streams because I get to talk about whatever I want. Though to be fair, I always used to, a lot of you guys weren't around back then, but I used to say that the reason why people liked my streams was because they were just chatting streams disguised as gaming streams. And that's always been the case, but now there are people who actually want to watch my just chatting streams. So now I can just have just chatting streams where I talk about whatever the fuck I want. That being said, on Wednesday, I'm contemplating drawing European YouTuber with funky makeup, and now my brain is short circuiting. Hopefully in a positive way. That sounds so cool. Listen, I love fan art so dearly. I don't get it very often. So anytime someone does any kind of fan arty thingy, I throw up in a positive way. Is that this? What is that? Anytime I edit this Spotify window, it always, like, unedits itself. There you go. You can see the time on that. Okay. But Wednesday stream, we'll be doing art. I don't know what I'm gonna be drawing, though. I haven't decided. My brain is just soup because it can think of doing more than what, it can't think of doing more than thing. Got it. You got a one-track mind. I respect it. Wednesday stream, we're gonna be doing art. I'm going to be drawing something. I think, you know what I'm gonna draw? People don't actually know this. I am an Everlast SMP. Do people not know that? I don't think I ever talked about it. I am on that. I am on Everlast, and I do have a character. I just haven't revealed anything about him. But I could draw him for stream, mayhaps, because I have the whip of his PNG tuber. I just haven't lined it yet, but I could do that. Oh wait, I don't actually think you guys know this either. I made a PNG tuber the other day for Ender Song. I can show you guys it. Oh my god. I made one for Ender. Here, I'm gonna show you guys. If I can find it. That'd be cool. I did. Yeah, okay, here it is. Oh, she's so big. Not actually, it's a they them user, but this is their PNG tuber that I made for them. This is just one frame. It doesn't like talk and stuff like that. But here they are. And I've been thinking about I don't actually have like PNG tuber commissions open. Um but they reached out to me and were like, will you make me one? Can I commission you for one? And I was like, I guess. There's 2 people that have PNG tubers done by me. Rem and then also Ender. Also hi Liv. And I've been thinking about I have like a commissions thing that I just haven't like made public yet. But I've been thinking about including PNG tubers on there just because there's a lot of fun to do, actually. And I've been having fun making my own. I think also, though, part of the reason for doing them is that I'm avoiding doing everything else. Tasks. I'm avoiding tasks, and then I'm doing all the other tasks I haven't done to continue avoiding those tasks. And on the tasks that I'm avoiding, I'm doing tasks that are art related. That made sense to me. Don't worry about it. But anyway, I've been thinking about opening them up for other commissions and doing like commissions and stuff. Commission me so I could get a haircut. Alternatively, if you have $70, I need a haircut. I know it's expensive, but the place I go to is like woman and queer owned, so it's why it's expensive. And I could go somewhere cheaper, but also I want to support them. Why do things in the world cost money? What if they just didn't? Long bite hair, say bye-bye. No, it's gonna stay long. It's just bothering me. Because it's like, I'm wearing a hat because it looks really bad. But the bits right here, they get really long. And they don't curl anymore. So it just, my hair just is like, and the bottom is curly. And then like the front is like vaguely curly. But it's been bothering me a lot lately. And when it starts bothering me a lot, that means it's time for a haircut. I don't know, scraggly Zord. I'd show you, but like because I have hat hair, it would just be extra bad. You should just walk in and bat my eyelashes until they give you one for free. They wouldn't do that. I'm not that pretty. I'm not that pretty. That being said, speaking of being pretty, my one of the dresses that I got from Mochipan is on its way, but I don't know the shipping company they use, so I can't track it. But it should be here within the next week or 2. So fingers crossed. I want a cute dress. Please, 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 please. God, please, please. Please, please, please. I've been feeling very I've been feeling very girly pop femme lately. So I think that's what this is. I think I just want to be more girly pop femme. I don't have any dresses. Not really. I have a couple, but like I don't know. Gender. I hardly know her. You know? I've been checking my package so intently. My tracking isn't working. Does yours actually update, Jamp? I'm always in my genderful arc. My genderful lately is just woman adjacent ish. I don't know. Ah, I mean, I use, but like when I click on their tracking number, I go to it and it like doesn't like work properly. Like it doesn't. It's like we don't know. We don't have anything. We don't know what this is. What packaging company is this? And I'm like, I don't know. You're supposed to tell me. I'm just hoping that it like. Oops. I just hope that works. I use a third party one. Well, I have like the shop app or whatever. The urge to get 1,000 dresses in time for summer, even though I know all summer I normally start wanting to be masked. But you could still get some anyway, just as like a little just in case, or a little extra something something. But yeah, but even Jamp, even when I click on the email link that they give me and I click on the tracking thing, it's like, we don't know where your fucking package is, man. Or they don't know like what like company it is. Like they don't know who the packaging, like the shipping company is. So it's like we don't know what website to track on. And I'm like, I don't know either. I didn't ship it. I don't know anything. Wow. Hello. I feel that, but androgynous femme. Gender is a game, and I'm winning. But also, for those of you who were here for the art history time, if you wanted any of the books that I mentioned, there's this one that is by Peter Burke, though I will be so for real with you. Every art history academia written before 2010 is the worst, most boring shit you'll ever read. Like, they have such a way of talking about something where it's like, you could describe this in a sentence, but instead they just, like, say dog shit, horseshit nonsense instead. Be better. As an art historian that likes writing, don't fucking write if you don't know how to talk about the thing you're talking about in, like, simpler terms. This is also another book that I have. It's Giles Lambert. I didn't use it for any sources, but it's pretty. And then there's this one, Towards the Global Middle Ages. It is edited by Brian C. Keene. This one's cool. I actually had not touched it before today. I bought it for a class and then I didn't look at it. You know, as one does. And then also, this one's more of a textbook, but Northern Renaissance Art by James Snyder, 2nd edition. This one's fun. Got a lot of fun stuff in it. Putting that back. But those are those books. This is from the Getty Museum too. Getty is they publish educational material. So you can look on their like website for some cool books generally. I think I got it as a gift for someone and I was like, nah, I don't like your vibes, you're not getting it. And then I didn't give it to them and I kept it. Gender is a bunny and I'm pulling it out of a hat. That's very bold. That's bold. Also, never mind. I take it back. Take it back. I've talked about bunny boys enough on my stream. I don't need to keep doing this. Is there something I'm supposed to be doing? No more bunny boys. I'm sweating, wide eyes. I sent you the links to the parasol tracking app. Okay. Do you hate all of Mothmoon? That's true, do you? Why don't you support bunny boys? Nice hat, gay one. Thanks, Fifi. Boo, wide eyes, boo. Tomato. Bite. Hello, Caster. Hi, everybody. You guys missed art history talk. We're done. I'm sleepy now. I was just looking at my Twitch list to see who was live, to see who we were gonna raid in a little bit. That's the thing, though. I like sitting here and chatting with you guys, but also, I am so tired. I had a long day. Kids are crazy. And also, I spoke for an hour and a half about art history, but I had a lot of fun. God's sleepiest little guy. I am God's sleepiest little guy. God's sleepiest little guy that is in dire need of a haircut. What is on the board? The big quote says, "You have the energy of a 23-year-old gay atheist Hollywood character who they added for inclusivity, but ended up being the fan favorite." That's a quote from Bob the Bob, and then above it, right there, it says, "If you see this, you are gay." That's all I have for you. I don't have anything else. You want your DSM-5 redeem? Okay. I will turn it on. Okay, I put fear check and DSM-5 back on. What is, what do you mean? Because sometimes I do Merus and P and like Cegis and P lore, like... What do you do when I do those? Because, like, you can't redeem DSM-5 and stuff then. $186, okay. What is this? I'm Googling it. Huh. So you have White Eyes, 186. You have major or mild neurocognitive disorder with Lewy bodies. And then I went to go Google what a Lewy body is. And they are clumps of abnormal protein particles that, for reasons that are not fully understood, accumulate in the brain. So you have a condition caused by clumps in your brain. L, bozo. My toes are sleepy too. What the fuck? You give the posture check. If it's lower White Eyes, it gets mental illness from the angst, obviously. Hey, I don't always do angst. Sometimes I'm a motherfucker mermaid. And maybe my Everlast character will be a motherfucker too. You guys don't know. You don't know a fucking thing, my guy. I don't know a fucking thing, my guy. I just go here. Mermaid causes angst for others. Yeah. But it's fun, isn't it? Like, he's fun. I think he's fun. We're gonna be doing stuff soon with him, by the way. I think like next week or so? Yeah, next week. Next week, I'm doing Merce and P-Lore. Yay! Ow, ow, ow. Fuck. I had my foot at a weird angle. Ah! Okay. Also, really funny because my recommended categories on Twitch are all stuff that my friends play. So, riddle me this, chat. Why is my 5th recommended category on Twitch? Why is it Medieval Dynasty? I wonder what that could possibly... I wonder who could have possibly have done this. I have like Raft up there. I got Splatoon. I have Placid Plastic Duck Simulator because of Olive stream the other day. Roblox is on there because I watched a single Gravel stream. I watched Gravel's stream. I opened it up and there was a pizzeria and things were on fire and he had his head in his hands. That was it. Also, Fortnite's on here. I don't know who I watch that plays Fortnite. None of your friends play that game, only your lover. Okay. Okay. Alright. That's fair, I guess. My bad. So I was trying to figure out who this person was. So we have a few options for who we could raid. We raid Scobray too much. We're gonna spread the love. Do you guys want to raid Kyra, who is currently playing Life is Strange? Or should we raid Starf, who's playing Persona 3? Both? How do I do that? I cannot do this. Okay, that's 2 for Kyra. Kyra. No, we don't need a pull. I think you split us in half, cut us down the middle. Alright, I'm cutting you guys all in half vertically. And then you can just fall over. We are gonna raid Kyra, because I'm sleepy. I will be live again on Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST. We're gonna be doing art. We're gonna be doing some art. But I'm gonna throw you guys over to Kyra. Kyra is a beloved. They are a mod and also a friend and the littlest guy. If you are not already following me, make sure to follow. It's free. You can always unfollow later if you really want to. But why would you want to? I'm so cool. I'm throwing you guys over to Kyra. Kyra is another small streamer and a mod and a friend and a moth. And you guys fucking love your moth, guys. Thank you, Zeta, for the follow. I appreciate it. If you're not already following, consider following. If you were here this long and you weren't following, what the hell, man? That's 2 hours, almost 3 hours that you could have been following me. But I'll be live again on Wednesday. We're gonna be doing art and shooting the shit. Those get chaotic. So if you want like stupid chatty times, come hang out with me then. And then on Friday we are going to be doing The Sims 4. I'm gonna try to get custom content to make my characters, and then we're gonna try to make my characters. That's what we're doing. That's what that is. But I'm gonna go send you guys over to Kyra, show them some love and support, and I will catch you guys on Wednesday for some art. Bye, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. Use my raid message when you get to the other side, or my raid emote, whatever you want. And go behave and be nice and love and respect each other. Good night, everyone, and goodbye.